The clock reads 6:14 a.m. You wake up naturally. No alarm. No meeting waiting for you. You walk into the kitchen, pour a cup of coffee, and watch the city slowly wake up. Your phone vibrates once. $41. It arrived while you were asleep. Nobody asked you to clock in. Nobody needed your time. The money came. Because you owned something that kept working. Even when you weren't. You remember who you used to be. 3 alarms. Rushing through every morning. Counting the hours. Until Friday. Back then, this life sounded impossible. You didn't become rich overnight. You simply crossed one important number. The number where your investments started paying for the life your paycheck once had to buy. You have $10,000. You're 26 years old. It took 2 years to save it. You skipped upgrades. Kept driving the same car. Cooked dinner instead of eating out. Said, maybe next time. More often than you wanted to. Now the money is sitting there. Doing absolutely nothing. Most people celebrate a vacation. A luxury purchase. A reward for working so hard. You make a different decision. You open your investment account and buy a dividend fund. Nothing exciting. Nothing that trends online. Just an asset designed to keep paying. At 4%, your money generates about $400 each year. It won't change your life. Not yet. But something important has already changed. For the first time, money arrived. Without asking. For your time first. No overtime. No commute. No meetings. No boss. Just ownership. At lunch, a coworker notices your investment. He laughs. $400 a year? That's nothing. You don't argue. You simply close the app. A week later, he spends the same amount on something that will lose value tomorrow. Your dividend arrives. You don't withdraw it. You don't celebrate it. You buy more shares. Just a fraction. Almost too small to notice. But next time, those shares will earn money too. You watch the total grow. Even if it's only by a little. A quiet smile appears. Nobody else sees it. They don't need to. Because while everyone else is working for money, you've started teaching your money to work for you. You're 29 now. 3 years have passed. Your portfolio has grown to $50,000. Most of it came from consistent investing. The rest came from dividends you never touched. Now those investments generate around $2,000 every single year. Enough to cover an entire year of electricity, your internet, or a weekend trip without touching your paycheck. One quiet Sunday, you sit at the kitchen table and begin adding the numbers. That's when it finally clicks. Every light you turn on, every meal stored in your refrigerator, every time you plug in your phone, those expenses are no longer paid only by your salary. Your investments are helping too. You don't mention it to anyone. A few days later, your family gathers to celebrate an engagement. The table is full. Conversations get louder. Someone talks about their brand new luxury car. Another celebrates a recent shopping spree. Everyone applauds. You simply smile and enjoy the evening. On the drive home, your girlfriend notices you're unusually quiet. She asks what you're thinking about. You tell her nothing important. You don't explain that every expensive payment they celebrated tonight will disappear next month, while your investments will keep sending income this year, next year, and the year after that. Instead, you reach over and hold her hand. As the traffic light turns green, you realize something that can't be measured by your bank balance. For the first time, you're no longer chasing money. You're quietly letting time work on your side. And that feeling is what being financially ahead really feels like. You're 32. Your portfolio reaches $100,000. Six figures. The milestone. You spent years chasing. The number. That once sounded like complete financial freedom. Then reality arrives. Your investments generate around $4,000 over the next year. Enough to fill your grocery cart week after week without asking for another hour of your time. One Saturday morning, you walk through the supermarket. Bread, coffee, fresh fruit. Everything in your cart feels a little different. Your investments are quietly helping pay the bill. You smile, but say nothing. Nobody around you would ever know. That evening, an old friend sends a message. He found an investment, paying 12%. Imagine the income, he says. You'd earn 3 times more. Curious. You open the chart. The dividend looks incredible. The business doesn't. Revenue is shrinking. The share price has been falling for years. The high yield isn't a reward. It's a warning. The market already knows something is wrong. You close the chart. You tell your friend to think twice. He laughs. He buys it anyway. Months later, the dividend is reduced. The stock falls again. The messages stop. You never hear about that investment again. Meanwhile, your boring portfolio keeps doing exactly what it was built to do. $4,000 every year. Quietly. Consistently. Because at 6 figures, the biggest returns don't come from chasing excitement. They come from avoiding mistakes. The slow 4% will often outlast the flashy 12 every single time. You're 35. Your portfolio reaches $250,000. Almost nobody around you knows. At work, you're just another employee. But your investments now produce around $10,000 every single year. Enough to cover your car, insurance, fuel. Every mile you drive is quietly supported by assets instead of effort. You realize it one morning while sitting in traffic. The driver beside you is arguing through his car's speakerphone. His luxury SUV still has temporary plates. His expression looks exhausted. You glance over for only a second. Then you look ahead. You keep driving. Your reliable car, paid off years ago. No monthly payment. No financial pressure. It still gets you where you need to go. That evening, your dividend notification arrives. The number is slightly higher than it was last month. It usually is. You remember something your mother once told you. The people with real wealth rarely need to prove it. Back then, you didn't understand. Now you do. At $250,000, investing stops feeling like numbers on a screen. It begins paying for the things you use every day. Most people drive a car that takes money out of their pocket. You're driving one, while your investments quietly put money back into it. You pull into your driveway. The engine stops. But you stay behind the wheel for another minute. Not because you're tired, because for the first time, you realize your money has started carrying part of life's weight instead of you. You're 38. Your portfolio reaches $500,000, a number that changes something far more valuable than your bank balance. It changes how secure you feel. At a 4% yield, your investments generate around $20,000 every year, enough to cover many of life's essentials: housing, utilities, food, transportation, the foundation of an ordinary life. Financial planners have talked about this milestone for decades. Not because it makes you wealthy, because it gives you breathing room. One Friday afternoon, your manager walks into your office. He's behind schedule. He asks if you can stay late. A few years ago, you would have answered without thinking. This time, you pause. Just for a moment. Not because you're angry. Because you realize you finally have options. You still agree. But the decision belongs to you, not your paycheck. Later that night, the office parking lot is almost empty. You sit inside your car. Before starting the engine, you remember the 26-year-old version of yourself, the one who nervously bought their first ETF, the one people laughed at for earning just a few $100s in dividends. Many of those people are still chasing bigger paychecks, bigger cars, bigger monthly payments. You drive home to a simpler life. Dinner is already waiting in the refrigerator. You don't check your portfolio tonight. You don't need to. Compounding doesn't ask for your attention. It keeps working, whether you're watching or not. $500,000 doesn't buy freedom, but it gives you something far more powerful: the ability to choose. And sometimes, the most valuable investment isn't the money you earn, it's the freedom to decide when to say no. You're 41. Your investments have reached $1 million. Nothing around you looks any different. The apartment, the car, even your reflection looks exactly the same. But one number has quietly changed everything. At a 4% yield, your portfolio now produces about $40,000 every year, an entire salary, without clocking in. One Tuesday evening, you sit at the kitchen table with your laptop open. Instead of checking your portfolio, you begin reading about dividend taxes. You type in the numbers, run the calculation, and stare at the result. You read it twice, then a third time. It isn't an error. The rules really do treat this income differently. For years, every raise you earned lost a piece before it reached you. This income feels different. It arrives without asking for more hours. The next morning, you're back at work. The weekly meeting begins. Targets, deadlines, forecasts. You participate. Like everyone else. No one knows. Your paycheck is no longer the foundation of your life. No one knows. You could leave without panic, without desperation, without starting over. At lunch, you sit outside with a simple meal. You packed yourself. The sunlight feels a little different today. Not because you're richer, because you're calmer. $1 million doesn't automatically create a luxury lifestyle. It creates something harder to buy: peace of mind, the quiet confidence that your future no longer depends on someone else's approval. Not your manager, not your employer, not the version of yourself who once believed a paycheck was the only way to earn a living. You're 44. Your portfolio has grown to $1.5 million. At a 4% yield, it generates around $60,000 every single year, enough to support a comfortable lifestyle without selling a single investment. Your portfolio remains intact. The assets continue growing. The income keeps arriving. One morning, while drinking coffee, you read a retirement survey. It says most Americans believe they need around $1.5 million to retire comfortably. You pause, then read the number again. You've already crossed it. Outside your window, the morning continues. Cars fill the streets. People hurry to meetings, to deadlines, to another workday. Years ago, you were one of them. You remember? Your younger self? The 26-year-old who invested $10,000 into a simple ETF. The one who kept reinvesting every dividend. The one, people said, was thinking too small. Those small payments never stopped arriving. Year after year. They quietly multiplied. So did you. Later that morning, you open your laptop. You type one short email. You thank your employer for the opportunity. Then you press send. No celebration. No dramatic speech. Just a quiet feeling of certainty. The same feeling you had years ago when your first dividend appeared while you slept. One decision, repeated consistently, changed everything, while others spent decades working harder for more income. You spent those years building income that worked without you. And now, for the first time, your mornings belong entirely to you.